Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing a review on season 1 of Becoming Elizabeth. So, before I head into my thoughts and my feelings on the very first season of Becoming Elizabeth, I guess just a quick disclaimer. Whenever I do videos like this, especially when it's historical fiction or just anything dealing with like real people, I always have a hard time figuring out, how should I talk about these type of shows. Because sometimes some people know more history, some people know less history, if that makes sense. So yeah, sometimes spoilers can mean different type of things for different type of people when it comes to history, especially with historical fiction shows like this. But for the purposes of this video, the way I see it, I don't see history as a spoiler, because a lot of the stuff that did kind of go on in this show, a lot of it for the most part is pretty well documented, I guess. So yeah, I don't really consider anything a spoiler. So yeah, there might be big plot points I might kind of hit throughout this video. So if you're someone and you just do not want to know any damn thing about this show, you might want to just steer clear of this video for the time being and come back at a later point. Because yeah, I'm probably going to be talking about just about everything for the most part. So, touching on the big things before we head into this review, what is Becoming Elizabeth about? Becoming Elizabeth is an 8-part season that is on the Starz network, where they have previously had things like the White Queen and the White Princess and the Spanish Princess, all of which I freaking enjoyed, yeah, guys. Also, Outlander, if you love Outlander. So yeah, I was pretty thrilled when Becoming Elizabeth aired on this channel, because I have loved all of the other shows that Starz has put out in regards to, like, the Plantagenets and the Tudors and whatnot. So yeah, for this show, Becoming Elizabeth, obviously it's about the teenage Princess Elizabeth before she becomes Queen Elizabeth the First, and I was pretty thrilled and excited about that point of view that this show was taken, you guys, because when it comes to Queen Elizabeth I, a lot of historical fiction, whether that's books, movies, television, whatever, a lot of stuff tends to focus strictly a lot of times when she is already queen, and a lot of that time is skipped over when she is simply just Princess Elizabeth. So I loved that this show, it was all Elizabeth as a princess before she is ever even a queen. And what I really, really loved about this show, you guys, was also the fact that we got a show finally focusing on the reign of King Edward VI, Elizabeth's little baby brother, who we all know he's not going to reign very long, yeah, guys. So I'm curious how long that's going to drag out into the show. But yeah, we'll kind of get into some of that in a bit. So yeah, I was really excited that the show was focusing so much on the reign of Edward VI, because once again, a lot of stuff, books, movies, television, a lot of times his reign is skipped over, which is so unfortunate, because I think there is so many interesting things going on during his brief reign as king. And it's a shame that a lot of that is often skipped over, because there's so many rich, juicy historical figures to cover during this time period. Yeah, not only Edward VI and his sisters, Princess Mary and Princess Elizabeth, not just them. But I mean, yeah, the little bit that's left of Catherine Parr, the Seymour brothers, all of the various different people who are in the English court. There is just such a plethora of rich characters to explore, and this show really kind of filled that need for me, that I was like, hell yes, I am loving this. Because I have seen just so many shows and movies and books and whatnot over the years, you guys, that deal with the Tudors, and and this show to me was kind of a bit of fresh air, to be quite honest, because I'm tired of the repeats of all of the six wives of King Henry VIII. You know, I'm tired of a repeat of everything going on with Queen Elizabeth. You know, I'm tired of kind of all the repeating stuff. So yeah, this was all pretty like fresh and exciting to me that I was really looking forward to. Um, so yeah, I'll kind of get into a lot of maybe a bit more of the specifics here. I got my notes right here, you guys. I got my notes right here that I'm going to be looking down at and reading off of, so I'm not forgetting anything. If you can't tell from I guess my behavior, how I'm starting and opening this video, I really highly enjoyed this show. Now, is it perfect? Hell no. I think there probably are definitely some issues in there, some highs and lows. And yeah, the show, I think, definitely takes probably a good abundance of historical liberties in there. But that stuff doesn't honestly bother me. And let me kind of put it that way. If you're watching this video right now wanting to hear someone bitch and gripe about the show, you're not going to get that from me. So you might want to go find somebody else who's bitching and griping about the show, because I tend to not view historical fiction in that manner. I am usually pretty open and fine with historical liberties and historic license, as long as it still kind of makes some sort of sense. I walk into these type of shows and movies with the knowledge and with the understanding that they're just that. They're either movies or television. They have to tell an entertaining story first and foremost. That kind of precedes historic accuracy, if that makes sense. A TV show has to focus on setting up characters, setting up the world, and having growth and development within all of that. So yeah, I walk into this stuff acknowledging that and understanding that, and then if I have an issue coming out of it, well, then I have an issue, you know, and that's just me. That's on me. That's not really entirely on the fault of the show if I'm being overly picky about something, you know. So yeah, as I said, I really highly enjoyed Becoming Elizabeth. It did what it, I think, was supposed to do, which was to entertain and to tell a compelling story about kind of the early teenage years of Princess Elizabeth before she does become Queen Elizabeth I. And yeah, how she is weaving within the English court, you know, where exactly is her place in this court, because she is still a princess, but at the end of the day, a lot of people still look at her and view her as being the bastard of the whore Anne Boleyn. So there's a lot of complexity within that a a lot of times is kind of going unspoken, I guess. A lot of times, a lot of that's going unspoken with how people sometimes treat her, behave towards her, how they just the vocabulary they use around her, I suppose. So I love where this was taking place and where Elizabeth is at this point, and her learning to play the game, if you will. She has to play the Game of Thrones within the English court, and yeah, she's related to the king, you know, but that is not a guarantee of protection or even love at the end of the day. So I really loved some of those greater nuances that the show was exploring over the course of all 8 episodes, especially with her relationship with her brother Edward, with her sister Mary. And yeah, they all have vastly different opinions about everything, and the people they trust, the people they look up to, the people they distrust. You know, everybody kind of has their clique. It's almost like high school in this show. It's very like soap opera, and I kind of loved it. And maybe it's just me, but I absolutely enjoyed all of the moments that dealt with like just a group of people sitting around a table just talking about politics. To a lot of people, that may sound a little dull and boring, but I was living you guys, I was living for those moments where people were just around a table bitching and griping at each other, and like, hey, you need to trust me. No, you need to trust me. Hey, we need to decapitate that guy over there, you know. I loved all of that when they're talking about other people that they hate, or you know, they want to rise in power, or yeah, all the religious stuff going on with the Catholics and the Protestants, you know. I just loved all of those just hefty scenes around a table with mostly really the dudes. Let's be real, it was mostly all the dudes, and then every now and then you would get like Elizabeth or Mary kind of thrown in there. Now, I do definitely want to touch on the pacing of this show, because I feel like the pacing of this show might have been very hit or miss for some people, depending on what you were specifically maybe looking for in this show, or maybe anticipating might be the better word I'm looking for. I was very surprised with the pacing of this show. And what I mean by that, I expected, well, because I wasn't sure, well, because now in hindsight, let me put it that way, now in hindsight that I've seen all 8 episodes, it does seem very apparent now Starz would like to do like a multi-season thing with this, because I'm thinking they might want to do about 3 seasons, possibly. But when I originally started this show, I was kind of under the impression that it was going to be a 1-season thing, and they were going to fly through the reign of Edward, and then, yeah, everything with Lady Jane Grey, and then going through Mary, and then like somehow, I don't know how this would happen, somehow ending with Elizabeth becoming queen. Seriously, you guys, I was in the back of my head, I honestly thought this was going to be 1 season, and they were going to just fly through everything with such a rapid pace that I was not really going to enjoy it. So I'm very happy that the pacing of this show, it really took its time. And like I said, that could be hit or miss with some people, depending on what you're looking forward to and what you're anticipating. Because there may be some viewers who wanted the pacing to be like super fast, you know, and to reach a certain point. So yeah, in regards to the pacing, the span of time that is covered on this show is not as much as I thought would be covered. Because I really genuinely thought Edward, because historically Edward does die fairly young, I thought the first couple episodes were going to cover his entire reign, and then I thought the next couple episodes would deal with Lady Jane Grey, and then I thought a few more episodes after that would deal with Mary, you know, ending with Elizabeth becoming queen. So I guess what I'm trying to say at the end of the day here, I was fine with the pacing. I'm really glad the show took its time, because as I was kind of going on at the start of this review, this time period with the Tudors is often kind of skimmed over or just skipped over entirely. It's like the TV show The Tudors, for instance. The TV show The Tudors with Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, that was strictly just focusing on the reign of Henry VIII and then all his 6 wives, and then it just stopped, you know? Even though it's called The Tudors, it just stopped. And it's like, okay, we're not going to continue with Edward, which I was hoping they would continue with Edward in that show, you know, but it never did. So I'm glad that this show focused on this time period at really great length, and really gave it time, really gave the characters and the stories time to breathe, and for you to really latch onto and understand the political climate. You know, that's the big thing of this show. You really gotta invest your time and energy into the political climate, or else you're not going to care for what's going on. Now, costuming. We definitely got to talk about costuming. I'm very curious what others thought about the costuming, because I know costuming can be a pretty big deal for people when it comes to historical fiction. It can drive some people nuts. I did really like the costuming. Once again, probably definitely some liberties taken in there, obviously, because the costuming still needs to appeal to a modern audience, because if you go too accurate with costuming, it's going to look ugly and unattractive, and you got all these really hot British people, you guys, and you want to see them all looking fine as hell. So I'm usually fine with costuming as well. Let's be real. I do have a question. Somebody who is far more knowledgeable when it comes to the Tudor period with clothing. A question I had. The French hoods. If you don't know what a French hood is, I shall explain. The French hoods are those really beautiful headpieces that all the women wear, that it kind of goes in that nice little half oval shape, and then there's usually kind of the black veil that drapes over, covering up the hair, and you only see a little bit of their hair at the top and whatnot. I love the French hoods, but I did find myself often while I was watching the show, I kept thinking, okay, would the French hood have been in style during this time? Because I don't know, for some reason it was kind of striking me as a costume inaccuracy, but I wasn't quite sure if it was or not. As much as I love the French hood, it was kind of just crazy. Just every single character had the French hood on. I'm not gonna really complain. Really, I love the French hood design because I think Anne Boleyn is one of the first people that made it kind of more fashionable and popular, if I'm not mistaken. I might have that totally wrong. But yeah, anybody who is far more knowledgeable when it comes to Tudor costuming and Tudor clothing, do you know anything about the French hood? Let me know, because it was kind of driving me a little nuts. I was like, should they all be wearing this French hood? And also, what I liked about the clothing, because this is what drove me nuts with the Tudors. Once again, the Tudors with Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, where he played Henry VIII. What kind of drove me nuts about the Tudors is that they had historical costuming to a degree, but they like overly made it too sexy, because then you had all of these heaving, swelling bosoms from all of the women, you guys, especially Natalie Dormer. But yeah, this show, what I really liked about Becoming Elizabeth, I really liked the, how should I say, the conservative nature. Would that be right? The conservative nature of the costuming, because there were no chests like just hanging out. Like on the Tudors. Okay, if you've seen the Tudors, you know what I'm talking about. Good God. So I loved that the costuming, I think, while still being a little bit modern in a sense and taking some liberties here and there, I definitely could see those heavy influences of what's in, you know, like the portraits, especially like when you see stuff like by the painter Holbein and whatnot, because he was one of the big painters of the time period. I definitely, because I was even going back and looking at some of like real photos of Princess Elizabeth, real portraits of Princess Elizabeth, that is, and I could definitely see those influences of those real portraits within the costuming, which I loved. So yeah, how did you guys feel about the costuming? I'm very curious. And aside from the costuming, a beautifully just shot show in general, the cinematography, the locations, all these grand estates and landscapes and whatnot inside of castles. I live for that sort of stuff. I love it. And yeah, the writing. I was fine with the writing. I know there's a lot of people who were not fine with the writing of the show, but I was fine with the writing. I really liked it. I think it did its job, which, like I said, was to entertain, tell a story from start to finish with this time in Princess Elizabeth's life, and really focusing on a lot of the core relationships that she would have had during this time period. So I do want to go down this list of all of the actors and who they play really quickly, just kind of some of the highlights, I guess. Let's see. We have Alicia von Rittberg, who I think is actually German, who plays the young Princess Elizabeth. I think Alicia von Rittberg was a really nice casting choice for Elizabeth. I think she's kind of in the right age that she could play the younger version. And then, yeah, if this does go on for a few more seasons and she's gradually going to get a little older, I think she'll be able to mature into that as well. Her performance was really nice. I really liked it. I was pleasantly surprised. I was a little worried about her. You know, I mean, this is the future Queen Elizabeth. You know, in the first several episodes, I did find myself getting so frustrated with Elizabeth, and that's not really her her performance. I think it's more the writing why I was getting so frustrated. And I was like, I'm getting so irritated and angry with her because she's just making all these really stupid, foolish decisions. But then, in hindsight, once again, as the show concluded and I've had the benefit of seeing everything, then it kind of clicked for me. I was like, you know, I think we're supposed to feel that way. I think we're supposed to be irritated and annoyed with her and think that she's making a bunch of naive, foolish, idiotic decisions. Because that's just it. She is young, you know? She is young. She is naive. She doesn't really know any other life outside of what she's grown up in. So I think Alicia von Rittberg really played that quite nicely. That naivety, that innocence, those moments where you do want to just scream at her and like just slap her, like, Elizabeth, what the hell are you doing? And then she does quickly mature from that once she realizes, okay, I have done some stupid things, I've said some stupid things, I'm living in an environment that I need to be very careful. You know, once she gets some of those near-death threats. You know, she comes close to death a couple times because people think there's some treason going on, you know. I think once she faces those dilemmas and those obstacles, I think that's the moment in her life when it's like, okay, I need to calm down here. I need to think. I need to reevaluate because I need to think about myself. I need to self-preserve myself. And then playing Princess Mary Tudor, we have I can never pronounce her name, you guys. Romola Garai, maybe. I love this actress. I think the very first thing I ever saw her in was Atonement, you guys, with Keira Knightley and James McAvoy. I loved her performance as Mary Tudor. Just such a wonderful complexity to Mary Tudor, because oftentimes when it comes to stuff like this, Mary Tudor is often very villainized because we know her history. We call her Bloody Mary with good reason. So I love that this show's really given her a lot of complexity and why she is the way that she is and how she kind of maybe becomes what she becomes eventually, you know. And yeah, I love that sisterly relationship with her and Elizabeth. Once again, just a very complex relationship. It's like they're both sisters, they're both Tudors, they're both the daughters of Henry VIII, but they both have very different mothers, obviously. And they both grew up very different ways. And yeah, they both have very different religions and opinions. So it's like, what should come first within that relationship? Their sisterly bond, or their duty to country, or their religion, you know? So I love that complexity within their relationship. And then playing Edward VI is Oliver Zetterstrom. Is he German too? Because his name looks very German. I loved this boy or teenage boy. I'm not sure how old he is. I have a feeling he's older than he looks. I loved his performance, and oh my god, the way he looked uncanny, like the portraits you see of Edward VI. You guys, it was pretty bizarre, and I loved it. I was like, this is the most perfect casting choice on this show, I think, is this boy playing Edward. Once again, as I said, I was really thrilled and excited to watch this show during his reign in particular, because it is so often skipped over. And I loved seeing him, you know. The show opens and Henry VIII has just died, and here comes his uncle, Edward Seymour, being like, hey, come with me, you're our king now. And you know, he quickly kind of goes from being this scared little boy who's not quite sure what to do into really coming into his own and straight up just telling people, hey, I'm the king, you're going to listen to me, this is my opinion, I'm tired of y'all just sitting here running all over me, if I want your opinion, I'll ask for it. So I love how he kind of quickly went from like this extreme to like this extreme by the end of the show and whatnot. And yeah, once again, the relationship he has with his sisters, it's very similar like the relationship Elizabeth and Mary have within themselves, but then yeah, once you add Edward into the mix too, not only is he their brother, but he's also their king. So there's all of that. I mean, what is his relationship with them exactly? You know, how much should he be brotherly to them? How much should he be kingly? Does duty come first? Does religion come first? Once again, you know, there's all of these dilemmas, and a lot of times you can see that wonderfully playing out on the actor's face, like, I just don't know what to do, I give up. Okay, moving on into the rest of the cast here, we have Tom Cullen. I love me some Tom Cullen, you guys. I'm just glad he lasted for, what, 6 episodes? I think he lasted for like 6 episodes. Tom Cullen, who plays Thomas Seymour, who is an uncle of Edward VI. Oh boy, Thomas Seymour, what a character. Ooh, you know, he's a good-looking man, but oh boy, this character. Ooh, he's a slick charmer, and he's able to get into the bed of Princess Elizabeth pretty quick. I love this character. He was a delicious character to just like, you just wanted to hate him. You know, it's like you want to love him at times because he is charming and so good looking. It's like you want to love him there, but then you want to hate him because he is kind of a social political climber, and he has his own motives and agendas, and you're kind of questioning, where is his love in regards to Elizabeth exactly? Is it genuine, or is he using her? So yeah, that's definitely another question I want to pose to you guys. How did you guys feel about the relationship between Thomas and Elizabeth? Genuine or ambition? You know, I think at the end of the day, because of how his last episode ends, and I think what we're supposed to gather from that love note that he sent her, and then Elizabeth threw it away for safety reasons, obviously, to secure her position. I think at the end of the day, I think Thomas Seymour, his love for her was somewhere in between. I think he did love her genuinely, but I think he was also using her for his own social, political games and whatnot. Now, yeah, his actions are inexcusable, obviously, unforgivable. He does a lot of pretty stupid things. I mean, for crying out loud, he had been waiting and pining after Catherine Parr for decades, it seems like. He finally gets her, but then here comes Elizabeth into his life, and he's like, hey, I don't like you anymore, Catherine Parr, you know? So it's like, he's a man conflicted, a man tormented. He's just all over the place, and I really like that about his character. It made him really interesting and fun to watch and whatnot. And I know a lot of people had an issue with the depiction of the Thomas and Elizabeth relationship on this show, because I think I was seeing stuff that people felt they were romanticizing it too much, and I definitely can see that point of view. Because my understanding, everything that was going on within Catherine Parr's household, to my understanding, a lot of that is not too well documented. A lot of it is mere speculation and mere rumor. Do I have that correct in that assumption? So yeah, the show was definitely taking kind of that liberty. Oh no, this really happened. You know, they weren't doing the thing of rumor and speculation. They were downright throwing it in there, which I can understand why. That bit of story is far more interesting, more so than the rumor and speculation. You know, we want to see the soap opera craziness. You know, so I was fine with the relationship. Yes, it was romanticized, I think. I understand why it was there in the context of the show, though, because Elizabeth needed a place to start with at the beginning of the show, if that makes sense. She needed a place to start, that she's here at the bottom, and she realizes her foolishness and naivety, and once she realizes that, she can go up a couple steps in character growth and whatnot. So I understand why they put in the Thomas and Elizabeth relationship, because it definitely served a function in the greater scheme of things. And moving on to the last Seymour brother, Edward Seymour, we have John Heffernan. I love John Heffernan, you guys. He is such a wonderful character actor. He's just constantly popping up in all sorts of British movies and British shows and whatnot. I always look forward to when he pops up, because he always delivers a standout performance. Edward Seymour, he was another great character as well. I loved his arc from start to finish. He's a man who's part of the court. He's very close to Edward VI, obviously, because he's an uncle, but he's also like the Lord Protector, since Edward is underage and whatnot. He's kind of the regent temporarily, in a sense. And yeah, he's a man that he is very highly motivated, very highly political, highly ambitious. But kind of how I was interpreting Edward Seymour is that he did have a genuine love for king and country, you know, and he wanted things to work out at the end of the day, but sometimes his maneuvering wouldn't go quite as planned. You know, it wouldn't go quite as planned, and things would go up, things would go down, and he'd have to re-navigate whatever he was trying to do, you know. I think his ambitions got him in trouble for the most part, as we see when he gets beheaded later by the finale, you know. His ambitions got the better of him, unfortunately. But yeah, I really liked the character, and I think what this show did so great was like kind of just a lot of the relationships within characters, you know. I loved the relationship with the Seymour brothers, because you have Thomas, who is younger, you have Edward, who is older and has kind of a lot more weight and responsibility on his shoulders, whereas Thomas kind of just is really flippant about things. And I love that relationship between them. It's the same thing, like I said, the same thing with the Tudor children. The Seymour brothers have this similar dilemma that they're brothers, but they also are members within the court. And yeah, what do they put first? Their duty and religion, or their brotherly love and affection for each other. So yeah, I loved that relationship with them. Those brief moments that they had. I wish there could have been more. And then we have Jessica Raine, who plays Catherine Parr. Catherine Parr was the sixth and final wife of King Henry VIII, and yeah, pretty much the only one that outlived him. Well, other than Anne of Cleves, because Anne of Cleves did outlive him, right? But yeah, Catherine Parr, once Henry VIII does die, she does quickly go right on in and marries Thomas Seymour and whatnot. And yeah, the Princess Elizabeth comes and stays with her. And yeah, as we see in the show, because I believe that was accurate, that Lady Jane Grey came and stayed with her for a little while too. I might be mistaken about that. There are so many Tudor movies and TV shows that there's always so much focus on either Catherine of Aragon or Anne Boleyn. I feel like a lot of times poor Catherine Parr is really pushed to the side and often forgotten. That was I loved that one season though of the Tudors, the final season of the Tudors, because Catherine Parr was in that quite a lot, and I loved that. But I really like Jessica Raine as Catherine Parr. I think I did. I've kind of had some issues. I don't know, because who played Catherine Parr on the Tudors? It was Jolie Richardson, right? I just absolutely loved Jolie Richardson's performance and portrayal of Catherine Parr, because she played Catherine Parr very kind of wise and intelligent. I felt like a very devout woman, but very smart and intelligent, and she kind of knew her place, and she knew when to kind of rein back if she needed to. And yeah, Jessica Raine's performance, I don't know, I was kind of conflicted about it. I liked it for the most part. I did like her performance. It wasn't bad, but she did play Catherine Parr almost like a bit more manic. I felt like, if that makes sense, I don't know. I felt like she played her a bit more manic and hysterical and like just angry, but she has good reason to be angry. But yeah, I don't know, because I found myself often comparing her to Jolie Richardson, whose performance I just freaking loved on the Tudors. So I'm still conflicted. I still don't know. How did you guys feel about Catherine Parr on this show? Did you like Jessica Raine or Jolie Richardson better? Because I'm kind of curious, because I think I'm leaning more towards Jolie Richardson, to be quite honest. And then we have Jamie Parker, who plays John Dudley. Wow, I loved his performance, especially those last couple episodes where it's like he's kind of just slowly loosening it bit by bit, I feel like. And his political scheming and political motives and agendas are just kind of all over the place as well. And yeah, intense. That finale was freaking intense with John Dudley, you guys. Oh my god, because it's like he helped kind of send both Seymour brothers to their death, essentially. And yeah, here he is in that finale facing his own possible imminent demise. And yeah, when he collapses, when he's done talking to like Princess Mary, I think it is, and he just kind of like collapses on the steps, like in just so much relief, like, oh my god, because everyone thought Edward was about to die, and he was in some pretty big trouble just about. I love Jamie Parker's performance. I can't wait to see him carry over into the next season. I don't think he's going to last very long into the next season, though possibly because he is part of that whole big thing with Lady Jane Grey, isn't he? And him and Guilford, I believe, don't they both get I can't remember. I think they both get their heads chopped off. So yeah, John Dudley might not be lasting too much longer. He had a near call there in the finale, but he might have only a few more episodes then. But yeah, I really, really liked John Dudley. For the longest time, I kind of kept thinking to myself, okay, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? I'm not really quite sure. I'm still not quite sure. But either way, I still really like that character, and his relationships with kind of all the various different other characters within the court and whatnot. And I can't wait to see him continue into the next season. And then we have Jamie Blackley, who plays Robert Dudley. Yeah, guys, yes. Robert Dudley, who is notorious for being like a lover of Queen Elizabeth and whatnot. I really liked Jamie Blackley. He was a lot of fun. He's really cute. I really liked him as Robert Dudley, and I think him and Alicia von Rittberg, I think they had really great chemistry, which was important because you need to believe that relationship between Elizabeth and Robert. I'm very curious to see where Robert's character goes, because we do get him marrying Amy, his wife. We do see him marrying her, by the end of the show and whatnot, which I kind of wasn't expecting. I didn't know he got married that soon, unless that's another historical liberty within the show. So I'm very curious to see where his relationship with Amy goes, where his relationship with Elizabeth goes, because we know there's all the rumor and speculation about him and Elizabeth being lovers when she's queen and whatnot, and it never really goes anywhere. I mean, I really, really liked him. Once again, he was cute. He worked out. I liked his chemistry with Elizabeth. I definitely need a lot more with him, because the second half really put him in there a lot more compared to the first half of the show. And then we have Bella Ramsay, who plays Lady Jane Grey. I was really pleasantly happy with this casting of Bella Ramsay. I adore Bella Ramsay. She is such a gifted young actress. And yeah, I really hope she goes into season 2, because I know right now she's doing the Last of Us show with Pedro Pascal, which is based off of the really popular video game. So I'm really hoping that does not hold her up from continuing as Lady Jane Grey if this goes on for a second season, because I really would like to see Bella Ramsay come back. Lady Jane Grey is primarily mostly just in the first chunk of the show. She's kind of left out mostly in that second half, but yeah, we get the nice little teaser there. Her dad are kind of arriving back at court just in the nick of time for stuff, and if you know your history, you know where that's going. So I really liked her performance, and just such a sweet, cute little thing, you know, and I just feel a lot of great sympathy and pity for her, because I felt like a lot of people were just kind of using and abusing her, being unnecessarily cruel. I mean, even Elizabeth, for crying out loud, because I was really kind of getting disgusted with how Elizabeth was treating poor Lady Jane Grey, for crying out loud. Dear God. I was like, this poor sweet child, leave her be. And then a final person here I have is, I'm going to butcher this poor gentleman's name, Ikao Cordy. He played Pedro. I really ended up quite liking Pedro, you guys. He ended up being in there quite a lot more. He's a Spaniard, was my understanding correct? They kept mentioning that he was a Spaniard. He was in some of the battles and wars with Edward Seymour and whatnot, and that's how he kind of gets integrated into the English court. And I was pleasantly surprised with his interactions with not Queen Mary, with Princess Mary. I really liked kind of their chemistry. Not a romantic chemistry, but like a platonic chemistry, if that makes sense. I really liked how they worked off of each other and balanced each other out, because they both have very similar opinions and beliefs. And yeah, any given scene the two of them were in together, I really liked them and what they kind of served for both their characters and whatnot. I really hope Pedro comes back. I'm kind of just interested how Pedro would kind of fit into things, you know. I do think he is a fictional character. Is he? I think he's a fictional character. I don't think he's a real person. But I really liked Pedro. I wasn't sure what to expect with him, to be quite honest, but I ended up really quite liking him. So yeah, I feel like I've been just rattling along here, dilly-dallying, I don't know. So yeah, for the most part, I really enjoyed this season. First season, maybe? I don't know. I'm really hoping we get a second season, because what I'm hoping a second season will explore will definitely be everything with Lady Jane Grey, because historically she is queen for like nine days, I think, isn't she? She's like queen for 9 days after Edward does die. Edward should be dying within that first 1 or 2 episodes, if there is a second season. And then Lady Jane Grey pops up, and yeah, a lot of people get beheaded. Let's put it that way. A lot of people get executed and beheaded. So I'm expecting all of that, and obviously Mary becoming queen. And I don't know how far into Mary's reign they would get, because like I said, I'm kind of anticipating this possibly being 3 seasons. That they'll get to kind of the start of Mary's reign, and then a 3rd season will finish out her reign, and Elizabeth will be queen by the end. Because the show is called Becoming Elizabeth, this is all strictly going to be her as Princess Elizabeth, I think. And if she does become queen, it will be the series finale, I think. Because it would just be a whole different show. But oh man, it'd be great to watch this show and then like watch the Cate Blanchett movies. Oh wow, I can't wait to do that. So yeah, that's kind of my envisioned plan of how this show is gonna pan out, maybe over the course of 3 seasons, I'm hoping. And just all the various different historical figures that pop up, and yeah, we're going to lose some, we're going to gain some. So yeah, I'm very curious, how did you guys feel about Becoming Elizabeth? Did you like it as much as me? Because yeah, I was pretty happy with it. I honestly didn't have very much to complain about with it. But yeah, I mean, if you have some genuine complaints and issues, I mean, that's totally, absolutely fine. I mean, that's your opinion. I'm not going to tell you you can't have an opinion, obviously. So, I mean, yeah, if you had issues and problems, please feel free to tell me what those issues and problems were, you know, what bugged you. Yeah, I mean, just be nice and polite about it. You know, I don't like people attacking each other. You know, I hate people attacking each other. If you have an opinion, just have an opinion, but go about it in a nice, polite manner. That's all I ask. Because I know people can get pretty crazy when it comes to historical fiction and whatnot. So guys, that is it for this video. Just let me know down below if you did watch Becoming Elizabeth and how you thought about it, whether you loved it, whether you hated it. Do you want a second season? Let me know. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye guys.